If you've ever checked your bank account and thought, wait, where did my money even go? You're not crazy. And it's not just bad budgeting, it's math. And low-key, it's been working against you this whole time. Here's the wild part nobody talks about. The same invisible force quietly shrinking your paycheck every single month is the exact reason a simple $30 a week habit can eventually pay you more than a $9,000 a month job. Yeah, read that again. The thing draining your money is also the thing that can make you financially free. Most people fight it. Smart people flip it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That force is time. Time is savage with salaries. But it's insanely generous with investments. It quietly chips away at your paycheck every year, while aggressively multiplying money that's invested. And once that clicks, money finally stops feeling confusing. In this video, I'm going to show you what this actually looks like in real life. You'll see how inflation slowly eats your income without asking permission, why investing weekly quietly flips the whole game, and how one boring, repeatable habit can outperform most careers over time. Yeah, seriously, we'll break down the real pressure inflation puts on your everyday life, how compounding builds wealth underneath all the headlines and market drama, and the specific Fidelity index funds that keep growing even when the economy feels shaky. By the end, I'll walk you through a simple Fidelity index portfolio that can turn just $30 a week into something close to $1 million. A portfolio capable of producing around $9,000 a month in income over time. Not hype, not crypto moonshots, just math and patience. But before any of that makes sense, we need to understand why weekly investing beats one-time deposits in the real world. Because this is where things get interesting. Most people hesitate with weekly investing for one simple reason. The amount feels too small. $5, $10, $30. It doesn't feel like it can change anything. And that hesitation, it's not logical. It's emotional. Because when you're living under constant financial pressure, small feels pointless. When everything around you is getting more expensive faster than your paycheck grows, consistency doesn't feel powerful. But here's the twist. In that kind of environment, size isn't the advantage. Consistency is. And you can see this pressure in something as basic as groceries. Since 2020, prices didn't just rise once, they stacked. Around 3.5%, then almost 4%. Then, boom, nearly 10% in 2022. After that, they slowed down, but still kept climbing. Translation, that $20 grocery run in 2020 now costs about $25 in 2025. And that's not some boring statistic. You feel it. Every single checkout. And it's not just food. Borrowing money got heavier too. Interest rates that were basically chilling near zero in 2020 climbed past 4% by 2025. That means mortgages feel tighter, car payments sting harder, credit cards, brutal. One mistake and boom, you're paying for it. Meanwhile, wages, they've grown maybe 3 to 4% a year. Sounds decent until you realize that barely keeps up with current inflation. And it doesn't even touch how much more expensive life has become since 2020. So people feel stuck. Working harder, saving less, falling behind, without doing anything wrong. And right here, this is where most people mentally tap out. They assume small investments won't matter. But what they don't see is that the same force making life more expensive is the exact force that can build their wealth, if they use it. Now, zoom out. Forget your paycheck for a second. Look at the bigger machine, the stock market. Think about the crashes that felt like the end of the world. The Great Depression, the dot-com collapse, the 2008 financial crisis, the COVID-19 market crash, and the inflation-driven drop in 2022. Every single one caused panic. Headlines screaming, people swearing, this time is different, investors pulling money out. It felt catastrophic. And yet, every single time, the market recovered. Not instantly, not smoothly, but consistently. Zoom out far enough, and the long-term trend keeps pointing up. Decades of data show average returns around 10 to 11% per year, including dividends. That's not hype. That's history. And this is why weekly investing is such a cheat code. You don't have to predict inflation. You don't have to time crashes. You don't have to guess the bottom like some Wall Street wizard. When prices rise, your money keeps going in. When prices fall, you automatically buy more at lower prices. When markets recover, you benefit without doing anything. No stress, no panic, just consistency. In a world that constantly shifts, that boring little weekly habit becomes one of the few financial moves you can actually rely on. And this is where the title of this video stops sounding theoretical and starts sounding real. If the average paycheck grows 3 to 4% a year, but a long-term investment portfolio grows 2 to 3 times faster. Something powerful starts happening. Your money begins building toward outcomes your salary alone could never reach. Over time, that gap widens, and eventually, it becomes big enough to produce results that sound almost unreal at first, like generating $9,000 a month without trading hours for dollars. No overtime, no second job, no burnout. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, predictably, almost boringly. But once you actually see the math, it becomes obvious. Long-term habits, not lucky breaks, are what change financial outcomes. Not viral trades, not get rich quick. Just discipline, stacked over time. And that's where things get really interesting. Here's the part most people completely miss. Tiny weekly amounts don't grow in a straight line. They grow quietly, and then, all at once. This is the snowball effect. And honestly, it looks boring right before it hits you like a ton of bricks. To really get it, forget the end goal for a second. Look at how small weekly investing behaves early on, when most people throw in the towel. Imagine this, $20 a week. That's $1,040 a year. Most people hear that and mentally shrug. Me? That's nothing. Year one feels underwhelming. You've put in $1,040. With normal market growth and dividends reinvested, the balance nudges up a bit, but nothing jaw-dropping yet. And this is exactly where most people quit. But here's the secret. That's when the base of the snowball is forming. By year 3, contributions total $3,120. Thanks to dividends reinvested and time quietly doing its thing, the balance might sit around $3,750. Notice that extra? That's not from extra effort. That's from ownership. That gap, small but real, is the snowball starting to roll. By year 5, contributions hit $5,200, but the account might already be closer to $6,850. Now, the snowball has weight. Each new weekly deposit lands on a bigger foundation. Each dividend buys more ownership. Each piece produces even more dividends. Nothing flashy, nothing viral, just momentum quietly stacking. The first 5 years rarely look impressive, but make no mistake, they're building the engine that makes long-term growth inevitable. Later in this video, I'll show you how this same snowball effect, done right and consistently, can turn just $30 a week into a portfolio worth close to $1 million. Yeah, a portfolio capable of generating around $9,000 a month in income over time. But here's the thing. Understanding how the snowball forms, that's only half the story. The other half, psychological. And this is where most people straight up fail. Most folks don't struggle with weekly investing because it's complicated. They struggle because early results feel tiny. You throw in $20, the balance barely moves, and your brain instantly goes, wait, is this even doing anything? Totally normal, totally human. We're wired for quick wins, fast feedback, visible progress. So when growth feels slow, the mind quietly labels it useless. Add some market noise on top of that, and boom, emotions go haywire. Sudden drop, scary, recession headline, warning sign, volatile week, time to bail. But here's the kicker. That thinking comes from expecting growth to move in a straight line. It doesn't. Compounding works in curves. Markets rise, fall, shake, recover, and over time, keep climbing. And none of that is obvious in the early stages, which is why the real mindset shift is this. Stop measuring success by results. Start measuring it by consistency. Instead of asking, is this growing fast enough? Ask, did I invest this week? Boom. That single shift removes pressure. It kills panic, and it puts the outcome back under your control. Because consistency, that's something you can win at. And that consistency, not smarts, not timing, not luck, is what eventually lets your portfolio outgrow your paycheck. Not because you outsmarted the market, but because you stayed steady long enough to let compounding do the heavy lifting. Once that mindset clicks, something pretty interesting happens. Choosing investments suddenly gets way easier. You stop hunting for the perfect pick. You stop chasing whatever's shiny or trending this year. Instead, you start looking for qualities. Stability, broad exposure, low costs, and the ability to quietly grow for decades. These are the traits that actually make long-term investing work. And guess what? That's exactly why the Fidelity funds in this portfolio fit together so well. Next, let's break down what makes an investment worth holding for the long haul, and why this specific combo removes guesswork while maximizing growth. Once consistency is locked in, the next question becomes simple. What actually makes an investment worth holding for decades? Not hype, not predictions, not whatever's hot this year. Long-term portfolios succeed because they share a few quiet characteristics, and once you know them, picking investments becomes almost effortless. First, diversification. This just means owning a bunch of companies instead of betting everything on a few. If your portfolio holds hundreds or even thousands of businesses, one failure can't throw you off. One company tanks, another skyrockets, and overall, your progress keeps moving forward. Broad index funds do this automatically. Instant diversification, no stress, no stock watching every day. Second, broad exposure. This isn't the same as diversification. Diversification equals how many companies you own. Exposure equals what kinds of companies you own. Markets rotate. Some years, giant companies dominate. Other years, mid-sized or newer, sustainability-focused businesses take the lead. A strong long-term portfolio spreads exposure across company sizes, industries, investment styles. That way, no matter what's winning, you're never completely left behind. Third, real historical performance. Not hype cycles, not flashy charts. Look for funds backed by companies that have consistently grown earnings, strengthened fundamentals, and survived multiple market cycles. That long track record matters because it shows how an investment behaves when conditions aren't perfect. Fourth, dividend growth. This quietly supercharges everything. When companies raise their dividends year after year, those payouts don't just sit there. They buy more shares. Those shares produce more dividends. And that compounding loop just keeps tightening. Seriously, this is one of the most underrated forces in long-term wealth building. And finally, fees. Small fees might feel harmless, but over decades, they quietly eat away a ton of money. Low-cost or zero-fee funds. They keep more of your returns working for you, instead of leaking away in the background. When you combine all these traits, you get something seriously powerful. A portfolio built to absorb downturns, capture long-term growth, and compound steadily as time goes on. And that's exactly why these Fidelity funds stand out. Individually, each fund checks a key box. Together, they cover almost everything a long-term investor actually needs. First up, FZROX, the Fidelity Zero Total Market Index Fund. Think of this as the backbone of your portfolio. It owns large, mid, and small cap companies across every major U.S. sector, all in one fund. Its job is simple. Track the entire U.S. stock market with zero management fees. That alone makes it a powerful foundation. But the numbers back it up too. Yields about 1.04%. Dividends growing around 7.55% per year. Price appreciation averaging roughly 13.5% per year. In other words, FZROX quietly does exactly what you want a core holding to do. Broad coverage, steady growth, minimal friction. Next, FSMDX, the Fidelity Mid-Cap Index Fund. Instead of chasing the biggest companies, this one targets mid-sized businesses, established companies with plenty of room to grow. It holds around 300 companies across technology, industrials, consumer, and financial sectors. These are often tomorrow's large caps, which is why mid-cap exposure can seriously boost long-term returns without extreme risk. Numbers tell the story. Yield, 2.42% dividend growth, 17.21%. Annual appreciation, 7.4%. This fund adds the expansion layer. The company's climbing toward the top, giving the portfolio upward momentum when growth cycles are strong. Next, FITLX, the Fidelity U.S. Sustainability Index Fund. This one gives your portfolio a modern edge. It invests in companies screened for strong ESG practices, including leaders in tech, healthcare, and communications. Basically, it's exposure to the future, not just the past. Numbers. Yield, 1.14%. Dividend growth, 13.74%. Annual appreciation, 13.06%. Its role. Long-term resilience. Growth from sectors showing durable momentum over the last decade. Then, FGRIX, the Fidelity Growth and Income Fund. Think of this as the balance point. It focuses on high-quality large-cap companies with stable earnings, combining reliable dividend payers with consistent growers. Its purpose, income without sacrificing growth. Numbers. Yield, 3.13%. Dividend growth, 19.68%. Annual appreciation, 8.17%. It supports both sides of the portfolio, the income and expansion, at the same time. Finally, FDGFX, the Fidelity Dividend Growth Fund. This is the income stabilizer. It focuses on companies with long histories of raising dividends and strong financials. It leans toward consistency over aggression, helping steady the portfolio when markets cool off. Numbers: yield 3.2%, dividend growth 18.03%, annual appreciation 2.78%. Its job isn't speed. Its job is to strengthen compounding year after year. Putting the portfolio together, let's see the bigger picture. Using an equal weighted average, dividend yields: FZR OX 1.04%, FSM DX 2.42%, FITLX 1.14%, FGRIX 3.13%, FDG FX 3.2%. Add them up. 10.93%. Divide by 5 funds, 2.19% average portfolio yield. Same method. 15.24% average dividend growth. 8.98% average annual price appreciation. That's the engine. A portfolio that not only grows in value, but grows what it pays you every single year. And now, let's see what happens when time gets involved. Real example. Consistency over everything. Let's talk about Alex. Alex isn't rich. He isn't timing the market. He isn't chasing trends. He's investing about $4 a day. That's $30 a week. Because the portfolio has 5 funds, that breaks down to roughly 80 cents per fund per day. An amount most people wouldn't even notice missing. But here's the thing. Alex shows up every single day. By the end of year 1, his total contributions are about $1,560. Nothing flashy, just laying the foundation. By year 10, the portfolio is projected to hit around $27,000, with dividends starting to quietly compound. By year 20, Alex has put in $31,200 total, but compounding has pushed the portfolio to roughly $150,000, generating close to $9,000 per year in dividends. And then comes the decade that changes everything. By year 30, the portfolio is projected to reach around $950,000, producing roughly $108,000 per year, or about $9,000 per month in income. At that point, the math becomes impossible to ignore. Over 30 years, Alex personally contributed $46,800. But the portfolio? Nearly $1 million. That means over $900,000 came from a compounding, reinvested dividends and time, not effort. That's when investments start earning more than many full-time jobs. Not because Alex made more money, but because he stayed consistent with a tiny daily habit. This isn't about timing the perfect moment. It's not about being aggressive. And it's definitely not about getting rich quick. It's about setting up a system that quietly works even when life gets noisy. If you found this breakdown useful, like the video so more people can see it. If you want more calm, realistic investing explanations like this, subscribe. I post regularly. And if you want the full breakdown of how this portfolio was built, comment portfolio, and I'll pin the details. Because here's the truth. The biggest mistake isn't starting small. It's never starting at all.